All right, here we are. It's Monday, November 13th. Thanks for joining me. A real quiet weather pattern. As you know, we're in a split flow environment, which means one branch of the jet stream heads north of the United States and the other branch stays along the southern edge of the United States. And in the middle here in Minnesota, Wisconsin, we're left in no man's land. Now, what you're looking at now are the 500 millibar heights in our atmosphere. Of course, the blue and purple areas are areas that are considered, it would be right here, troughiness in our atmosphere, which means colder, probably more inclement weather. And then, of course, the red areas are ridges in our atmosphere or rising, increasing thicknesses. It usually means that a ridge is developing or has developed within an area, which usually means warmer and at times drier conditions. And that's what we have right now. We have a ridge and we have heights that are rising here over Minnesota and Wisconsin. And as I put this into motion, you're going to see that these heights, these red areas, stay in place through at least Thursday. Okay, this is Thursday. Here's your timestamp up here. Now, we do have a trough that's going to be moving in later Thursday and into Friday, so a shot of cooler air, still above average temperatures. But then right off the bat, again, as we head into the weekend and early next week, look at how much the thicknesses rise over Minnesota and Wisconsin and southern Canada for that matter. That means there are really no opportunities for true Arctic air to roll in to our areas out of the north, at least for the next 7 to 10 days. In fact, even as we look into the middle of next week, this would be right around Thanksgiving, you can see we do have a trough out east, but still we have at least thicknesses that are near normal or trying to rise here over Minnesota and Wisconsin. But there are signs of some changes right around Thanksgiving or thereafter, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. All right, here is the European computer model guidance again, and this is just showing you the temperatures in the lower layers of our atmosphere. And of course, red is warmer than normal in the lower layers of our atmosphere. And look at all the warm air over Minnesota and Wisconsin. Here's Minnesota and Wisconsin right here. All the warm air, even as we go through Wednesday and Thursday of this week, there's that shot of cooler air, but then it gets replaced right away by some warmer air in our atmosphere as we head into early next week. But here's part of the change. We finally do get a little bit of Arctic air that starts to roll south of the border now, of the U.S.-Canadian border into the upper Midwest as we head towards Thanksgiving. So this is Wednesday and then Thursday now of Thanksgiving. Now, what this means is that we're finally going to have at least some Arctic air in place by around Thanksgiving. And the big question is are we going to be able to get some warm air to override that colder Canadian air as we head into later next week to then, of course, produce some wintry weather. But until then, nothing for at least the next 7, maybe even 10 days. Here's a jet stream from the GFS computer model guidance. It's very similar to the European guidance, so confidence is high in this forecast here for the next 7 days. But here's the jet stream. You can see winds are coming up out of the southwest as we go through the week here. That means nothing but warm and what looks to be dry air from the desert southwest will be flowing into our region. There's that little bit of Arctic air coming in on some northwest winds here as we get into Friday and then Saturday early this weekend. But then we get into that split flow weather pattern. Here it is, jet stream up north of the U.S.-Canadian border, and then another jet stream and jet streak south of us. That keeps us in no man's land and just nothing happening as we head into early next week. And then finally, like I had mentioned, as we get into Thanksgiving and maybe the Thanksgiving weekend, we're starting to see signs, long ways out. So take this with a grain of salt, but we're starting to see signs of maybe a bit of a trough developing over the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin as we head into late next week and next week. And I think that would be our next potential for some wintry precipitation. Now, real quick, this is the Climate Prediction Center just showing you that they think during the next 6 to 10 day period, so this would be not only this week, but then as we head into next week, temperatures are going to be well above average, and I see no reason to disagree with that. Now, the precipitation outlook, and this is a little surprising, they're expecting it to be above average over much of the country. Not sure I quite agree with that, but as we get into later next week and weekend, I think that's when we can start at least considering the idea of some precipitation. But until then, dry, mild, warm. Don't be surprised if we hit a record high this coming Thursday. Record high 68. It's going to be a stretch to make that, but we could if things get out of control. All right, there you go. We'll have more for you later this week.